Hi, Habeeb. So we are live on Facebook now on our invitation page, and thank you so much for accepting the invitation and bringing some very unique cultural, I would say practices to India. So thank you so much, and to everyone, Habeeb is a Nigerian sex educator and he's a financial consultant, and he's a book lover. I've seen so many books, like it's my go-to resource to know anything on sex ed. So yeah, Habib, yeah, welcome to I am Besharam. This is the I am Besharam page, and we are a sex positive page. And I thought of talking about Kunyaza because I've heard of a lot, and the name is so fascinating. So can you tell something about like the Kunyaza? What's Kunyaza?
Sure. And just before I start, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me. And it's a pleasure again to speak to you again, Pallavi. Yeah, so Kunyaza is an ancient African practice originally from Rwanda and East Central Africa. And in essence, it's a non-penetrative clitoris tapping technique which elicits female ejaculation and orgasms in women during heterosexual encounters. And it basically involves a man using his male member or penis to elicit pleasure and hopefully resulting in female ejaculation or squirting or gushing orgasms. That's in
Okay.
summary what the Kunyaza practice is about. But there's a culture in history and a lot of heritage surrounding the practice. But that's what Kunyaza refers to. And the water that the woman expels during Kunyaza, that is known as Kunyara.
Oh, lovely. So, is it practice? Like, how is the awareness about this, practice of kunyaza? And would someone need special techniques? Like, if someone today is watching this and maybe they want to go and try kunyaza at home, so how would you take them through? Like, what exactly they should do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively simple practice in terms of the actual technique itself, but there is a lot of preparation that needs to be done beforehand, both from the man and the woman to psychologically prepare for Kunyasa. So, I mean, it's very effective. I mean, there was a recent survey that found that 90% or 92% of women who experienced Kunyasa was able to
Yeah.
orgasm, and about 83% of women was able to squirt. So it's very effective practice. But one of the things that's important about Kunyaza, not only the tapping technique, because you need to tap in either a rhythmic way or going vertically or horizontally along the clitoral glands, as well as the labia minora, in order to tease the clitoris and tease the woman in order to elicit ejaculation. But something which a number of women who've experienced ejaculation from Kunyaza have said is the importance of letting go, the
Mm-hmm.
importance of intimacy with their spouse or their partner, and also the importance of having a relaxed mindset. Because if
Correct.
you're practicing kunyaza, but you're especially for the woman, you're not engaged with your mind and body, it's going to be very difficult to let go and allow the feminine flow, shall we say, to gush out. So, whilst the technique itself can be relatively easy to undertake, in terms of the mental and psychological preparation and the woman owning her pleasure and giving herself permission to experience kunyaza, that's the most important thing. And that's where a number of whether it's sex educators known as sengers or coaches in Africa, they will help the woman able to own her sensuality and able to kind of let go, because that's the most important thing. Because unfortunately, many people, especially many women, do not feel comfortable in their own bodies, and especially with a male partners, it can be quite difficult to kind of allow themselves or allow their body to experience pleasure. So there's usually a disconnect between the mind and the body. So that's why when I conduct kunyaza webinars or workshops, everyone is thinking about the goal, like squirting and ejaculation and everything, orgasms. But then I have to explain the process behind it and the culture. And it's not just about the tapping technique, it's making sure, like I said, first and foremost, both parties are psychologically and mentally ready and prepared to in order to experience pleasure.
Okay. And so I remember you had that prop. Do you still have that prop where you like kind of actually explained it? Uh,
Oh yes, sure, sure. So this is
ah.
yeah. So this is a Volvo puppet. It's known as a Volvo puppet, and you can see it's a lovely depiction of the female anatomy. You have the labia majora, which is like some people call it the vaginal lips or the labia lips or the vulva lips here, and then these are the inner lips. Now, obviously, every woman's anatomy is different, but this is just an example. And this here, I'm hoping you can see it. This is known as the clitoral hood or the prepuce.
Okay.
It's like the equivalent of the male foreskin, and then you've got the clitoral glands here, this round nub.
Wonderful.
Um, Now the clitoral glands, and I'm specifically calling it the clitoral glands rather than the clitoris, because the clitoris itself, most of the clitoris sits within inside a woman's body. So if I were to show you, this is really what a clitoris looks like. It's in terms of the size, it's about 10 centimeters or 10 inches, depending on the woman. And it does actually erect. But most of this clitoris, like the legs and the bulbs, which you see here, they sit inside a woman's body, and they sit behind the labia minora, which is the labial lips. So when a man is going to, for example, perform kunyaza, for example, I'll use this massage balm. So imagine this is a man's penis. He'll be performing the kunyaza whether he wants to do a tapping technique vertically, going up and down along the clitoral glands and also along the labia minora lips, not penetrating. So this is the technique, which is a non-penetrative technique. You can perform penetration later, but the whole point is to tease and gently arouse both the clitoral glands and the labia minora, which is also indirectly stimulating the inner clitoris. So whether you want to do it in a up and down, like a vertical tapping function, left to right, vertically, you can play with it, do circular motions. You can even write your name. Again, it's the whole point is to create and establish intimacy between their partners. And it's also effective for the man because it's teaching him not to think so much about penetration. And we know that most women, the most effective way to experience an orgasm is via clitoral stimulation. So this is why the Kunyaza technique is so effective, because number one, it concentrates on the clitoral stimulation and also allows the man to understand what turns the woman on. When during penetration, generally speaking, a lot of times the man, because of the position, he's not able to monitor and see how his female partner is responding. Whereas with Kunyaza, and there's different positions where you can practice Kunyaza, but generally he's focused and eye gazing at his female partner, and he's also monitoring her bodily movements, because most people communicate non-verbally as opposed to verbally. And especially if his partner is shy or she doesn't necessarily want to actually vocalize what she's really enjoying and what she's not necessarily enjoying so much, he can monitor by seeing how her body responds. So that's why it's a very beautiful technique, like I said, not only to elicit orgasms, but also to create and foster intimacy between the partners.
Lovely. That's wonderful. I mean, this is my second time at the class, and it's still like, it's like, okay, there is so much, a lot of times we just take it so intensely, like we feel like there is some chase line that where we have to reach. I think it just makes you stay in the moment, and it really forces you to not get, because I think even the bodies, they are not like, there is not so much of a movement. How is it like, it's more like a practice where you have to be a little still, unlike the, that in and out, like, that where it's, you just completely kind of don't stay with the moment. I think this is more like staying in the moment also.
Yes, most definitely. And it's a different sexual script to penetrative intercourse. Don't get me wrong, sexual penetration is wonderful, and it's something that both men and women can experience an orgasm via penetration. But this is another sexual script or another sexual play that both the partners can enjoy together. And also it teaches them to be patient and understand what arouses both partner, rather than kind of thinking about penetration, which generally that session ends when the man reaches climax. Whereas with Kunyaza, it's not obligatory for the woman to experience an orgasm or squirting. That's not the goal. The goal is female pleasure. The goal is to ensure that she's enjoys the experience. But if she wants to experience an orgasm and ejaculation and squirting, she can. But that's the most important thing, rather than it's putting women first. So women come first with the Kunyaza practice, and that's why for me it's wonderful, because generally when we speak about sexual practices, it's always focusing on men's satisfaction first and then female satisfaction secondary. So this is like the opposite, where again, like I said, women's pleasure is prioritized.